Morning guys. As you might be able to hear, it's a bit of a miserable Sunday morning, so what I thought I'd do is I'd do a quick video. On my Silver Discovery I've got a problem with the rear airbags keep going down, or the rear suspension keep going down, and I believe it's an airbag because the airbags on these are serviceable parts and they've been on about 4 years now, so I'm going to change a bit. So what I'll do is I'll show you a quick video just to show you how I change. It might not be the way other people change, but the way I change them. I don't know whether you know, but on the Discovery, the TD5s, the rear suspension on is there, and how that works is you've got a small ECU called the slab control unit, which is a self-leveling unit, and on the rear of each suspension leg, what I'll show you, there's a sensor which detects on the height the rear suspension is, and that determines how much air the compressor puts in each spring to level the rear of the car up. So the reason I keep it on air, a lot of people convert them to springs, but there are a lot of reasons I keep this on air is because when I put my caravan to tow the caravan, the suspension pumps itself up to level itself up, so you haven't got that back end drag on them. So what I'll do is I'll get the car jacked up, and I'll show you how that I jack using 2 jacks, because you need to jack the rear of the car to clear the airbag, and also you need to then put another jack under the rear axle so you can lower the rear axle down to remove the airbags to replace it with a new one. So I'll show you step by step, and we'll see how we go through from there. Well, I don't know if you can see there, I've put 1 jack under the tow bar to lift the rear end of the car up, and then I've stuck another jack under the rear axle on the diff unit to take the rear wheels off the ground, so that I can get the wheels off, and then when we disconnect the airbags we can lower the rear axle down to change the airbags, and then we can jack that back up. So I'll get the wheels off and we'll go from there. Right, I've got the wheel off now, and as I was saying to you about the there's a rear height sensor on the rear. That's this piece here, which tells the slab unit at what position the rear suspension is, so whether it increases or decreases depending on what it needs. It's all done by compressed air on a little tiny onboard compressor. And just scoot you over, this is the airbag. This thing here, the light's not very good, I do apologise. This is the airbag, so that's what we're going to change, one on each side. And what we've got to do is, if you look at the top there, you can see a little air valve coming in there. So we'll disconnect that, deflate the rear suspension unit, and we'll change the airbags. The only thing the airbags are held on with is two little clips. All the airbag is held in with is 2 little spring clips, which I don't know if you can see that one there. Zoom it in a little bit more. It's a little spring clip there, and then there's one on the other side just to hold it in, you can see. So we'll unplug this to release the air pressure in the bag, and then that'll collapse the air out of it, and then take the spring clips off. Then that'll be a case of the way the bag is connected at the bottom is just along like a bayonet fit, so we'll just end up spinning the bag off to disconnect it. But I'll move the camera back and I'll show you as I take it out. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to release the pressure in the airbag, and the way I normally do that is here applies onto the hose. Right, actually I could just pull the hose. It's like a little push fitting, so you have to push the fitting in and then pull the hose out at the same time. like that. So that's the pressure out of the airbag. Both sides are independent, so only one side will go down. On the principle that if you get a failed airbag, that your suspension doesn't collapse altogether. So what I'll do now is I'll take the clips off, which are just little spring clips, like I say. So it's just a case of getting them off. There's one. Second one, and then it should just collapse down like that, and then all you've got to do is turn it. I believe it's anti-clockwise, just to rotate it to disconnect it from the bottom bayonet. And it should come off, and as you can see on the bottom, it's just on like a bayonet fitting. So yeah, all they are is just like a canvas bag, and what happens is where they fold up on themselves, grit off the road gets in them, and they just gently rub on them, and then obviously cause little tiny pinprick air holes, and they only go down when they're parked in specific positions. So if you get them where the overhang of the bag is covering the hole, they won't collapse. But what I'll do is I'll get a wire brush and clean all the frame and that up, and then we'll get the new bag in. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of copper slip where the bag goes on, just basically to protect the chassis. I don't want to stick it in the top there because that'll be a dirt tractor really, where all the dirt comes straight off the road wheel. So this is the replacement bag. It's slightly different now, they've got like a rubber coating over them. So yeah, they look a little bit more durable, so hopefully they'll be a little bit better. So again, replacement is basically the reverse of taking out. So locate our bayonet fitting onto the chassis. I'll just show you on where the chassis is. I don't know if you can see that. No, look at the wrong place. It's a bit of a job to get where I'm looking with the camera. There you go, that's where it fits into. That's the female side of the bayonet connection. So we just locate it on that and then give it a 300 or 90-degree turn. So what I'm going to do is, if you look at the pins, the two pins are further forward to the front than they are the back, and then obviously that gives you your directional for your air valve as well. So push it in, locate it, rotate it, and then that, I think what I'll do is I'll jack the rear suspension up to compensate to push that back up in place, because I don't really want to stretch that till that inflates itself. And as you can see, that's moved a little bit on the chassis, the way the car's been jacked up. So I'll just get a little jack and jack this side up a little bit. Right. Right, we're located in now. New spring clips. Slide that on. Just gently push that in place. I just want a little bit of persuasion. So it's that one. What you'll find is, until the other one's usually inflated, the other one's usually a bit of a job to get on, but we may be able to get it on. So that is a right pain. It's got no weight on it. But we've started it, so what I'll do is when we inflate it, that'll push it up tight against the bed, and then we'll be able to finish that one off. So what I'll do is I'll stick the stand back under here. So we can take this jack out. Now we've got to put our air line back in. Just clean it in, make sure there's no crap on it. It's just a push fit, so it just pushes in like that. Just pull it back, make sure it's secure. And that's basically it. I had to change the rear airbag. Like I say, nothing too technical. What I'll do is I'll do the other side in the same procedure, and then I'll come back and show you when we start the car up how to re-inflate it. Because obviously if I just let the wheels go down, it's going to extend itself like this one is, and then possibly when they inflate they kink and twist. So I'll get the other side done, and then I'll come back and show you when we start the car up. Right guys, I've done the other side and I've managed to get that clip on now, so that's all done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the wheel back on and remove the jack from the rear, put under this wishbone or rear axle, and then we'll inflate and hopefully it won't twist. So we'll get the wheel back on and see what happens. Right, zipped up with the air gun. Let's move it so you can see a bit better. Zipped up with the air gun, and then I'll torque them up once we get the car back on the ground. So I'll move you back now, and then we'll move the jack out the back. Right. What I've done is I've got both the wheels back on the ground now. So I'll let this down. So it's we're roughly just below where the ride height would be. So then when we turn the ignition on or run the car up, it should sense that that's below ride height and inflate itself. Right, so that should be just about below ride height. So what I'll do is I'll start the car up and it should start to inflate itself. Check the bag, make sure they're not twisted. Right, there we go. So we'll start her up and let it pump up. what I'll do, on these they've got a high ride setting, so to make sure the bag's expanding and contracting properly and the sensors are still working correctly, because obviously it's been jacked up, I'll put it on the high rise. You'll see it rise about 50 mil, and then we'll leave it for a few seconds, and then I'll decrease it and that should drop back down to ride height. So just to test it basically, make sure everything's still going okay. So as you can see now, it's going up, and once it gets to 50 mil higher than ride height, it should stop. And basically it's just to make sure that the airbags are expanding and then contracting correctly to refold themselves. So I'll leave that for a few seconds, and then I'll decrease it, and then that'll drop back down to ride height, and that should be the job done. Just torque the wheels up and she's ready to go again. So it should now go back down to ride height. As you can see, it's now dropping back down. I might go down a little bit too far and pump itself back up to get this level properly, but that's the way they are. So I'll just get the torque wrench and torque the wheels up. Right guys, that's how I change airbags on a Discovery TD5. I know there's several other ways of doing it, but that's the easiest one I find. As you can see, it doesn't take very long to do, but then they're a necessity that you obviously need, because if not, if you let them keep going down and your compressor's working all the time, you'll end up burning your compressor out, which is the most expensive part. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope it's been helps anybody. If it does help anybody, let us know. That'd be great. So take care, I'll speak to you soon.